90% of the time in getting their bills paid and having employment and not turning up to classes, but they just wanted to know that, can I buy a college certificate? The objective of the program was to help a family that it was being used as a high volume milking the cow, so to speak, right?
Okay, in terms milking the cow source.
Yeah. Like, the money is coming in, now let's get bodies so that the monies will be bigger.
My straight question to you is the fraud was happening? How many career colleges are there in Canada? And were the frauds happening in these career colleges because of the grants and loans by the government?
Can we get as many people through the B2C, which is using social media and using the word of mouth and through advertisements of the career college, have the intake flow in, and that's where career colleges got into this niche to make the monies, the quick monies. So that meant that 15 to 18 people came in through a pipeline which was not even processed and filtered.
Many truck drivers, they got the calls from the career colleges. Are you driving truck? You want to do this course? They said, no, we don't want to do any course.
Yes.
Okay, just enroll it. Keep going in US with your truck. Just enroll with us.
We do not hire instructors who will follow a disciplinary pattern.
Wow.
They will accept very mediocre and teach in a mediocre way and somehow manage the noise so that these students don't have to give any attendance. They don't have to turn up to class. They have to manage the quiz and the assignments. And the spousal support program. People were just getting married for the sake of two people coming into the country, and they would do the program and leave it midway.
And what prompted this ministry to direct career colleges for OSAP changes?
Acquiring knowledge, applying the knowledge.
But it was not happening.
And it was to be structured. When students don't turn up to class 100% of the time,
but most probably now the Ontario's Auditor General report may also come, and that may highlight the frauds happening in the career colleges, OSAP.
But 2 weeks into the post-audit, we hear that there is a re-audit and flags and red flags and concerns are being specifically addressed with the leadership team. It was the lethargy and the student wanting an easy life and wanting to bring some of the not so good practices of their home country, where they were manipulating and bribing and involved in such practices into Canada.
For last many years, we had seen that there are big questions by the diaspora, by the Canadians. They ask big questions like why our colleges and universities, they are not doing the proper work they had to do, and why there were so many of questions. If it is a OSAP, it is a international student program. Recently, Auditor General's report came out in which they blasted the international student program also. But provinces-wide OSAP, like in Ontario Student Assistance Program, the government, they changed the regulations. They stopped it for now because they changed the regulations from grants and loans. But we have someone who is a whistleblower, who is a head of human resources in the career college. And what role did career colleges play in these kind of OSAPs? Mismanagement of the funds. Does that happen? Let's talk to Mr. Denny George, who is a head of human resources department in the career college. Mr. Denny, welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Mr. Denny, before we starting, if you can introduce yourself, your profile, what you do.
My name is Denny George. I am the head of human resources for a career college. I have prior to that worked with business schools, and I have also worked with two leading banks, CIBC and RBC. And I'm I'm an MBA from a premier school in India, and I have been with 25 years of HR practitioner experience.
If we talk about, you are a whistleblower, you had seen a lot of things going on, the recruitment in the career colleges, the misappropriate funds they were using, and career colleges, no doubt, they made a huge amount of money because of the government grants and loans. But there is also a mismanagement, there were loopholes. Let's talk about the OSAP first. We got many complaints that OSAP, the career colleges were misusing that. Students were not there in the class, they were not studying, but they were getting grants and loans, everything. So OSAP, how these career colleges, if you give us that perspective of OSAP, how these colleges, they were thriving on OSAP loans and grants.
That's right, absolutely. Thank you for asking. It has been my first exposure to working with a career college. The career college has the Ontario Assistance Program. Some of the programs are funded provincially and some of them federally. The objective of the program was to help a family with a total income of 40,000 being the threshold. Many are struggling to get employed, so they were using these funds, grants and loans to help them with second careers. That was the governmental objective of assisting families to do it, right? But what we didn't, you can get into specifics, but what happened was initially the acceptance of the program as an offer of help as second careers to many of these families where people were hurting to get into the job market. So it came up as a second careers. But later we found that, and now that I was a part of that system, and there were concerns coming to me in human resources, it was identified and shared that it was being used as a high volume milking the cow, so to speak, right?
In terms milking of the cow source.
Like, the money is coming in, now let's get bodies so that the monies will be bigger in terms of flowing. So that is the overall thing, and we can get into some specifics of, if you want me to talk about students, I can talk about it, but you can ask me the question.
Yes, because I have many questions on this, because we reported many times about the OSAP. But tell me, what was the intake process enrollment for the students?
That's right.
Because the Ministry of College and Universities, they also put the concerns in front of the career colleges about the intake process.
That's right. The intake comprises of a few things. One was that one needed to have a certain level of English proficiency to do programs such as construction management or business management or cybersecurity or project management or PSW programs. So where we needed the numbers to come in, if we were strictly going by the English assignments, English requirements, we would not have many students who would meet that threshold. But where the career colleges tried to modify the environment is by getting the bodies and providing, enabling, supporting tools and facilities, internal people that were helping them with the English proficiency exams, right? So that's where you find that they were modifying it to get more numbers in. So that was one of the ways of managing the intake process, right? If we had programs like construction management and project management and PSW and business management being run, the number of programs and number of courses that we run, mornings and evenings, means on an average, if there was a program of 18,000, you can see, and if you had an average of 38 students, one program can bring in that money, 60% of which is being absorbed by the college, and then a few of the kickbacks and things like that with the BDM process. But we can get into some more specifics of the class management.
Mr. Denny, you are you were head of the department for the human resources in the career college. My straight question to you is the fraud was happening? How many career colleges are there in Canada? And were the frauds happening in these career colleges because of the grants and loans by the government?
So I don't have an insight into the other colleges, but I've heard rumors that there were certain colleges, so I would not be rightfully speaking about them, but there are about 26 to 28 colleges which are primary recipients of this OSAP program. But I can definitely talk about being a part of the career college that I was. One of the things that they thrived on was, can we get as many people through the B2C, which is using social media and using the word of mouth and through advertisements of the career college, have the intake flow in.
To enroll them.
To enroll, but before enrolling them, we were making it easier for them to really not meet all the criteria. There were opportunities to look at how we can modify to fit as many people, because the more volume per course, the more monies came in, right? So one of the things was B2C, was that we directly a customer service, client servicing executive would process by speaking to you, pass it on to a financial aid officer who will process to understand what kind of programs are more suited to you. And if there were some criteria that not, how can we modify it to make it fit? And then to see that you are then taking care of application of finances, which may take about 16 to 18 days to get the money from the government, right? So that's
how much money one student
so
was getting on OSAP?
So you could have programs where you have 13 to 18,000 as a range, if I can say, for programs which are business management and construction management.
And those were grants?
Those were grants.
Which
and
you
loans.
don't have to...
OSAP is a loan, which you don't have to pay back.
Yes. You don't have to pay back.
That's what made it lucrative. And that's where career colleges got into this niche to make the monies, the quick monies, as it were, right?
So was there any auditing happening with these career colleges or no?
Of course, yeah. The career colleges are governed by the National Association of Career Colleges.
Okay.
If there was a whistleblower within the student system where they said that they are not getting the help and their applications are not being processed, or somebody is being biased, they have an opportunity to make that case and then send it to the NAC. The NAC would then contact the leadership team in our career college and escalate it to see why was there a differentiation to this particular applicant. So we would then find that it was dependent on some kind of influence for certain students who did not meet the criteria, who met the criteria, and certain people who met the criteria, for some reason they did not meet the criteria. So you would find that there were some kind of differentiations, which is where the concerns were escalated to NAC, and concerns were also escalated sometimes to OSAP, body of governance, right? Yeah.
So, Denny, what is the reason you want to highlight this?
Yeah. Okay.
Because you are into this field, you were hiring students, intake program, you were a human resource, you were taking care of the students, those who were enrolled in the colleges. Like, what came inside that something is not right, something is not happening, and Ontario government recently, they took a decision, they stopped the OSAP program because so much of irregularities was happening, so much of corruption, frauds were happening. They changed grants and loans percentages, they changed it.
Right. What we noticed is that when we plan for a course ahead of time, be it 2 or 3 months ahead of time, you find that the enrollments could be 14.
Okay.
And then as closer to the date that we identify, it could be 20.
Okay.
But then you find in a week's time, it became 35 or 42.
Wow.
So that meant that 15 to 18 people came in through a pipeline which was not even processed and filtered.
Oh.
So this is called the B2B, which means the BDM, the business development managers who work the channels to get the students from lawyer firms, immigration firms, training firms, other administration firms, where they have a vested interest in the pie.
I see.
For example, they bring students with a mandate that get into this college, the government gives you the money, we will support you, and you don't have to appear to the class.
Such kind of calls we also got a couple of years ago, 2 years ago. Okay, sir, are you a student? If you want to do this course, you just have to enroll with us.
That's it.
Many truck drivers, they got the calls from the career colleges. Are you driving truck? You want to do this course? They said, no, we don't want to do any course. Okay, just enroll it. Keep going in US with your truck. Just enroll with us. You will get a grant and loan, which you don't have to return. Just register us and you don't have to study.
That's right.
Was this happening real time?
Yes, it was happening. It is also happening even now.
Okay, so happening now also.
So the observation that I made as a human resources head was that we had students that were complaining about instructors following the protocol of the NAC.
Okay.
NAC is the governing body. So if you're doing, and since I have been a professor myself, since you are doing courses which have to follow curriculum planning, class management, structured quizzes and assignments and all of that, and passing the grade at a certain percentage of 85 or whichever be the case was critical, the students that came in was provided a mandatory commitment that they don't have to turn up to class.
Okay. They don't have to study.
All their information was being used to get the funds. They don't have to turn up to class. And there were few complaints to me that some of the BDMs were taking kickback to study and write the exams on behalf of the students. So that meant the college made the money. The BDMs who brought those 20 people made money on each student. Some of them were willing to do it and not have the monies. So here was a situation where a family of 40,000 and below threshold are struggling, and the money that we're getting, people are going after that pie of money. So that in itself, and then we were also instructed that when we have concerns from the students, it becomes a noise. How do we stop the noise? We do not hire instructors who will follow a disciplinary pattern.
Wow.
They will accept very mediocre and teach in a mediocre way and somehow manage the noise so that these students don't have to give any attendance. They don't have to turn up to class. They have to manage the quiz and the assignments. And if I may submit humbly, the concerns that were raised to us anonymously was that there were people helping them out in doing the assignments.
Third parties were doing assignments for the students.
Some of them were BDMs themselves, is what the students were complaining.
BDM, again,
business development managers.
Okay. They were doing the assignments for the students.
And they were taking a little bit of money from them, and that's where the concern was.
And we also heard that they send assignments to India and pay 100 rupees, 200 rupees, and
pay it to people, and the labor is cheap, and you can send it to people in Haryana or Punjab, and they will have a team that will do it, and it will take care of it.
That was happening?
Yes.
Under your nose also?
Under your nose, meaning this is what we heard. We did not verify it, but this is a practice that has been happening for some time.
Still happening?
Still happening, I'm sure.
So because this...
Till the program is run.
Because everybody knew it. For last many years, we know it is happening. We knew it. Canadians knew it. These things are happening.
That's right.
But there was less of action by the government. But
that's right.
How you see the Ontario government decision to stop the OSAP for now?
Yeah, so we find that their desire, just like it happened with international students, there was a lot of modifying the program and actually not aligning to the guidelines and were being misused. Example, the program most misused in the international international students were the spousal support program.
Okay.
People were just getting married for the sake of two people coming into the country, and they would do the program and leave it midway.
But what was that program?
They had postgraduate programs where you could sponsor the spouse.
Oh.
So people got married.
So just registered in the program and then sponsor your spouse.
To come, two people, a man and a woman and a boy and a girl, to come to Canada, this program was helping. So some of them got married, provided the documentation, and then they came in as the spouse. But they were really not the spouses. So I think the government...
Really not the spouses, really not the students, because they were not studying.
Yes.
The assignments, if they are getting, the third party were doing that. So all those fraudulent
So the Ministry of
activities...
Education was anonymously highlighted by some of the colleges of the standard of people that came in from Punjab and Karnal and Haryana and all of these places, and many other small pockets of India.
And Gujarat, Haryana, Punjab, these three were the main.
And then they recognized that this was actually modifying the program because the immigration consultants were hand in gloves with the students because they had to make the monies. And this was a good time to reap the harvest. So they did it. When you look at OSAP program, it is a great opportunity of grants and loans being provided. So the objective here was to make sure that this program was reaching out to the people in need who needed a breakthrough of acquiring a knowledge for second careers. When that alignment was missing and the standards were moved around in the class management, in the attendance, in the structure, and in insisting that student needs to engage and share knowledge, and they would complain to the BDM, and the BDM would complain to the leadership team, and the leadership team would come into HR and say, we need to stop the noise. It just meant that it was going around the merry-go-round, and we wanted to project a good, happy class of 85% attendance, right? But that, in a sense, was quite contradictory to what education stands for. The value of education is about acquiring knowledge,
Yes.
applying the knowledge.
But it was not happening.
And it was to be structured. When students don't turn up to class 100% of the time, they, in the name of the student, their assignments are being done. It just goes that the student is still busy in Tim Hortons, and he or she is getting the course after 64 weeks.
Okay.
It shows on their resume. Only when employers ask them in the interview, what has been your learning, is where they are dumbfounded, or they have been given some answers to it that they can expect, right? So this is where anonymity and escalation and student-teacher issues got escalated to NAC, the body of governance, and the Ministry of Career and Colleges, MOU.
Yes. Denny, Auditor General's report came recently. That's Canada's Auditor General report, and they highlighted the frauds in the international student program. Everybody knows that.
Yes.
But most probably now the Ontario's Auditor General report may also come, and that may highlight the frauds happening in the career colleges, Osap. So you were an insider, you know what happened. Did you ever raise these concerns to the Auditor General or the Ontario government?
So I have not raised it to the Auditor General, but I have raised some concerns that came to me anonymously by the students.
So raised to whom?
To the leadership team of the career college.
Of the career college.
That I
not
belong.
to the ministry?
I did not do it to the ministry because I was not empowered to represent my college to the ministry. But I'm sure the anonymity line of OSAP, where it says anybody committing or feels there is a fraud being committed in OSAP program can report anonymously and mention which career college and where it happened. That was sufficient for them to track by the name of the student, and that's how many career colleges got exposed.
Okay. So Ministry of Colleges and Universities, they had the concern about the intake processes
as well.
So what was that concern of them?
The intake process was that there were certain criteria of education, there were certain criteria of English proficiency, there were certain criteria of post-secondary education that needed to meet up.
So they were not meeting by the career colleges?
So the fact, I don't know, I can't get into student and specifics because of privacy reasons, but some of these were made up, right, cooked up, right, and passed the program. But recently in our college and many other career colleges, I'm not too sure whether it's in the media, but there was stringent audit.
Audit, okay.
And
audit by NAC?
Audit by NAC. And we were given to understand that the audit was quite a tough one and everybody was nervous and concerned. We were given to understand the audit went well.
Okay.
But 2 weeks into the post-audit, we hear that there is a re-audit and flags and red flags and concerns are being specifically addressed with the leadership team.
Any colleges, career colleges being shut down by the ministries?
To the best of my knowledge, we've been given a timeline to shut the programs by mid of March.
Okay.
But the program continuity will go on till August. And with that, OSAP programming is completed with career colleges. And I think they're selectively moving into the B schools like the Senecas and the Centennials and all that with this particular program, because there would be much better due diligence and governance of these programs at those schools as opposed to career colleges.
You are a HR head. You are also a professor.
Yes.
What subject you teach?
I have taught human resources, I've taught leadership, I've taught compensation, I've taught project management, and I've taught communication and recruitment selections and some of these subjects.
Okay, Denny, anywhere in the world did you ever saw or watch that after getting failed a couple of times in your exams, you come out on the roads and protest? That happened here in Canada, here in Ontario. Many colleges, the students got failed. They were not able to pass the exams. Then they came out on the streets. Hopefully you watched that.
Yes.
And they came out protesting against the college why you failed us.
Yes.
And then college gave them another chance.
Another chance.
And you were an insider also. How you see those protests? Were they genuine protest? And when you get fail, you get a chance to reappear. Why you are not reappearing? Because that damages Canada's or Ontario's reputation.
Absolutely. So if you notice the protest, which was also highlighted in the newspaper, it was a segment of people of a particular community. For example, South Asians
Yes.
that got together, ganged up together, became a communion of similarly disgruntled students that decided they wanted to protest and their voices to be heard.
And they want to pass the exam by protest.
They wanted to get the visibility of that. We have noticed as professors that people who call the bluff and who actually call the wolf, we have found that when on verification and due diligence, it was the lethargy and the student wanting an easy life and wanting to bring some of the not so good practices of their home country, where they were manipulating and bribing and involved in such practices into Canada.
When we talked to some of the colleges presidents, they said these students, they are not attending 100% classes. These are the post-graduation courses, computer sciences. And if you don't attend 1 week of course, then you cannot pass these exams. And after all that, they started protesting on the streets.
That's right. That's right. So, so it basically meant that people were protesting to be passing at substandard levels of education, which is not aligned to the Canadian education.
Did you call that education anywhere in the world?
Well, that was, I mean, that's not an education, but that is somebody is coming in to do an exam or a study, but is occupied 90% of the time in getting their bills paid and having employment and not turning up to classes, but they just wanted to know that, can I buy a college certificate?
Can I buy a college certificate?
Or can I just have all the requirements being waived?
I paid a fee.
I will pay the fees.
I already paid the fees. Just give me a certificate.
That's it. And I will work hard and I'll work hard in my workplace, but you give me the certificate.
So how you see the Canadian education being a
So
professor?
now I personally believe, as a professor and as also an educator, that the course correction that is coming through, even in the international students, I am expecting that in 2027, not in 6, we will have very, very strong guidelines whereby at the source of the student intake, whichever country, there had to be some very stringent guidelines so that the education level and the standard is maintained what we used to have in the past. It is with a lot of immigration lapses also.
So who is responsible? Who is responsible for these all lapses? And
so I mean, I am nobody to speak on any particular government or a particular liberal party or a conservative party. I do not have that authority to do so. But as an educator, I would say the governance of education and the building up of the education, building a knowledge blocks and to disseminating information in best practices, a developed country like Canada ought to be aligned to Europe and US and some of the top schools, right? If you're claiming to be a country which has a good education system, it augurs well for the country to maintain a good standard.
Are you hopeful that governments will act and fix these things?
I personally believe the fact that they had to take such a strong intervention means that they are putting good people and educators in it to review the whole process.
Okay. So, Denny, we have the information and you already confirmed that. Being a HR head and a professor yourself, our information is that students, they don't attend classes, many of them in the career colleges, and they are supported by external sources to complete their program, to do their assignments. You already confirmed that. That was happening, that is happening now also.
Now also.
It's happening.
Yes. And till this program continues, till August, it will be, because it's the same set of students for 64 weeks. So if they are used to a certain practice for the first 4 months, the same people to whom they have been dispensing or kickbacks of money to get their programs, those are the people who have already taken accountability to do that. So when people in anonymity said that we are having these kind of concerns and people are asking us for money to get to take care of their education, it just purely means that it is the same rotten apples that are in operation, and they will continue to be. So we got to weed out the whole thing, belly up, and clean up. So there is no scope for people to damage or to intervene or to bring any bad practices. I think the best practices and the standards need to be validated. Now with AI enablement, may I submit?
Yes.
AI enablement should be used as a catalyst of change.
Okay.
Because AI really works to bring good standards.
Yes.
I would say that's a great opportunity the government.
That's a good tool for the government.
Government is going to exercise that. Yes.
Okay. Now, Ministry of Colleges and Universities, now they have advised mostly all the career colleges to stop the OSAP program intake. And what prompted this ministry to direct career colleges for OSAP changes?
Yeah, so that's basically what we've already discussed, right? Which is why they thought that the career colleges, they were manipulating the system and over-managing to meet the expectations of students, whereas it's not students involved. It's the college systems that are involved, the career, right? So they feel that the career colleges were manipulating the system, whereas if we moved that funding to places which have due diligence and better auditing practices, like the B schools and the A schools, then it will continue to maintain the opportunity for which the OSAP loan was given in the first place, was to allow people to have second careers.
Okay. So being a head of the human resource, what kind of challenges you were facing for the recruitment of the students?
So recruitment of the students was managed by the BDM, B2B channels and the B2C channels. But where we faced challenges was instructors who were facilitating the body of knowledge and the education was coming from good A, B schools at a small salary of $28 an hour or $29 an hour. But they had to modify their behavior to accommodate what the leadership wanted. The leadership wanted that the attendance of 85% was granted without the students attending the course. So you can see that good educators for teaching had to modify their behavior, which is not in sync with good education practices, right? So hopefully with this program going out and moving out of these career colleges, you would see that by August end, that cleanup process would begin.
Cleanup, where you say cleanup process will begin, till now, till today, whatever happened, because many career colleges, they made, ghost consultant made huge millions dollars, registered immigration consultant, some of not all, but many of them, they made huge
for the international student program.
For the international
because
program.
This particular program, OSAP, was only for people who are PR and PR who are citizens.
But my question is, cleanup process by these career colleges or the government, what already happened?
So I think
the crime or the scams already happened. Now when government will screw more, they will stop it. But why not to take out those audits, audit them where the money went? Why you did these kind of things? So there is no accountability for them to stop those crimes?
I could not speak on behalf of the leadership of the career colleges, but I think the government will ensure that based on the audit findings, the very next question would be, how were the funds that were collected dispersed? And where did it get channelized to? That will definitely get unearthed. And accordingly, whatever action, severe or not so severe, they will have to take on those actions. And some of it can mean that some extreme cases, they may lose their license. Right? But may I just submit this? This is a great opportunity for career colleges to play the role where students cannot afford a high fee college. They can provide a conduit of good education at a decent price. For example, trade, plumbing, carpentry. Because OSAP money is gone. But they can engage in still having career colleges, where there are lots of people from different countries who cannot access the B school and A schools can access some good program, short programs that will allow them to get into trade, allow them to get into administration, allow them to get into accounting.
That was my next question, like how you see the future of student education with career colleges.
That's right. I think career colleges have to reinvent themselves because the niche of career colleges is that they are very career aligned.
Okay.
Am I teaching them something that will get them a placement?
Yeah.
Not a foot in the door, but a education and a body of knowledge and skill that will allow them. And trade colleges are the good examples, right? And we had a college called the there was a college called the IMTT. And the IMTT college and many other trade colleges, if you Google them, you will have at least about 16 to 18 colleges across Ontario. These trade colleges like IMTT, they would be well for the business because they are preparing people with certain level of tools and knowledge which they are interested in, like automotive, like a technician program, like a technician dentistry program, pharmacist program. These will land them the job. So I think career colleges need to make that segue into providing people that kind of placement and jobs.
Okay. So, Mr. Denny, thank you very much for all these insights, and you yourself as an educator, you are a head of human resources, and you are a whistleblower. You are highlighting this thing when this was already in the public domain. Governments know this is happening. Students also know that these things are happening. They are paying, getting assignment done, not attending the colleges, still they are getting passed. Still, people, truck drivers or Canadians were getting calls from the career colleges, come, enroll with us, get the grant, get the loans. You don't have to pay back. They were luring these people and there was no action on them. We need accountability. We need accountability of the ministry. We need accountability. We need actions by the ministry. Now, recently, Ontario government has acted. They changed grant to loans, because loan is now 75% and grant is, for the Osap grant is now 25%. So they changed it. After that, the protest started outside the Queen's Park.
That's right.
That is also not a good scene because taxpayers' money was funneling out by these means. So in the end, what message you want to give to the government, what they should do, and your message to the Canadians, because you highlighted this issue today, now you are into this field.
Yeah, basically, my message to as an educator would be that Canada should be a beacon of good knowledge acquiring and good application of knowledge, the knowledge that they can use in Canadian industries and be of value. Any education that provides these purposes and objectives would be seen to be meeting the requirements of the country, of the medium to small practices, and also of individuals that can be gainfully employed.
So, but at federal or the provincial level, some ministers should be fired because accountability or buck should stop somewhere?
Well, I won't be able to comment on the political side. I'm not equipped to do that, but I would say that the government has taken the responsibility of having observed and seen a pattern of non-compliance and now have stepped in to course correct. That in itself initiative shows that they care and they want to correct it in a way that there are no more loopholes. So I think that says a lot.
And what you'll say about the students, international students were applying for the refugee status?
I am not an expert in immigration to comment on that, but this is all how our external partners and stakeholders like immigration people change the dial. And
because you mentioned in the program that the education system has got rotten.
Yeah, that's right.
So these were the points.
So some of these things have really not represented Canada for what it stands, right? So we are all hopeful. It was less of a whistleblower in this opportunity was to share that there is a great opportunity of looking at what happened, what's the learnings from these for all of us, not just career colleges, but as educators, and what do we see are the changes that we can expect in the next 18 months. I'm hoping that by 2027, fall of 2027 is what I'm expecting, that we will have a very regulated, clear-cut education system, which is a win-win system.
Okay. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you. Thank you for calling me, and thank you for asking my opinions and to share these insights. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.